right then. Okay. Messing with the angle. And I think we're good. You'll pardon the hair. I got my head shaved today. Although we are now going to let some of the shave grow back in. So, not all of it, but what I'm dealing with today is the leave-in conditioner and the oil. Just, to work on the condition of my hair. So, but this is why I missed doing the other book this morning. It's because my appointment to do this. And then, I collect a couple of Hallmark ornaments. I like to collect the Grinch and the Muppets. And occasionally, the Grinch, the Muppets, and Scooby-Doo. Well, last year I missed the Aristocats because I'll also, occasionally buy a Disney one. I missed the Aristocats. And so this year I went ahead and went a little earlier for the early release. There was no Scooby-Doo, but there will be one in in October. So, and apparently it's an angel, so it's going to be super cute. So I'm kind of excited about that. And it turns out they have another line called Mischievous Kittens. So I went ahead and bought a couple of those. But I ended up going to 2 different Hallmarks. Because one Hallmark had everything except the Grinch and the kitten with the cauldron, which is more of a Halloween, but it's kitten. Come on. Have you watched any of these videos? I love my kittens. But the lady that works at that Hallmark also works at another Hallmark. And she said, well, I know that they have the Grinch one there. So, yeah. So I didn't get home until almost noon today. So, all right. And I've been watching Mythbusters since. Yeah. Okay. But we are here to do EMMA CURTIS HOPKINS. We are down to the last 2 chapters. We have 11 and 12 to go. So the question becomes so next week we will finish EMMA CURTIS HOPKINS. So then the question becomes, do I go back and finish the Emerson essays, which I'm tempted to do? Also, I've opted to go ahead and take the Essential Ernest Holmes, one more time, because I think Jesse likes having us in the class. So I was like, and Dr. Marilyn Leo's going to be there. So I don't think I've done that book on this. So I may switch to do that book so that I can do the homework. Because if I do the homework live, I'm much more likely to get more out of it. And then I'm providing it for, people. So you can read along with me. We'll see. So, but today we are doing the High Mysticism. Now, High Mysticism was probably one of her last books. It's definitely a later book. It's I use the word loosely, culmination of her teachings. She has an entire series, like 12 books on the Bible. And she likes to do things in 12s. That's why there are 12 chapters in here. There are 12 chapters in the Christian Science Mental Practice. And pretty much everybody's read the Christian Science Mental Practice. And I just thought, High Mysticism's a really good book. Let's do that one. Turns out I've never read this. Because I couldn't find my copy. At which point I'm like, well, if I can't find my copy, then I don't have it. And if I don't have it, then I probably haven't read it. So, I'd also heard rumors that there might be a book study on EMMA CURTIS HOPKINS' High Mysticism. So I was like, let me just prepare for that, and here we are. So it's available. Like I did for the Emerson class. So, and then if I do go back and when I do go back and read the rest of the Emerson essays, that's just going to be, well, sheer stubbornness on my part, because I'm not the biggest Emerson fan. For no other reason other than, I'm starting to get Emerson. It only took 20 years for me to start appreciating Emerson. But that is for another date. Right now, let's get on with chapter 11 with EMMA CURTIS HOPKINS. So, High Mysticism. Whew, and hopefully since she's winding down, these chapters won't be as long, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Otherwise, I won't make it through the chapter, right? Okay. So she gives you a little, there's a little about, actually 11 and 12. The 11th and 12th lessons constitute a science by themselves, a science for the most part unintelligible, save to the awakened practitioners of the directions of the first 10 lessons. The 11th and 12th lessons are the eschatology of the mystical science. Well, now I know what to call this one. And it's signed ECH. So, chapter 11, Ministry. Keep hard to one science till you master it. Light flashes on any subject or object by much attention to it. The disciples of the Christ preached one name only till it flashed into Megarian effulgence through them, and they founded that mighty league the world has since acknowledged as destined to endure forever. They believed that he that is faithful over a few things, I will make him ruler over many. King Solomon stood to the building of one house till in the 11th year it shed abroad such an influence from the unseen world to which it was pointed that all who looked to it were set at liberty. Jonah, in the darkness of his dreadful prison, looking often and often to the temple's distant dome gleaming under a noonday sun, his outer eyes saw not, left his dark prison, hurled suddenly towards the heaven-charmed house of Solomon. David knew that whosoever would look straight to the unseen highest would be set at liberty from their weight of flesh and their weight of foolishness. They looked unto it and were lightened, he declared. And so true has this ever been that people have actually found themselves dropping corpulence by seeking Ein Sof, the beautiful countenance of the absolute, above thinking and above being. Okay, if corpulence means what I think it means, like, they dropped their material bodies? I'm not sure I'm ready for that. But, corpulence might mean something else, so, take that with a grain of salt. They have also found themselves lightened of their cap of ignorance, knowing wonderful and happifying laws, by oft time answering back the wooing supernal with wooing responses. Thou hast made me wiser than mine enemies, cried David, after daringly announcing that his eyes were ever towards the Lord. Looking toward a sky beyond our visible sky, the ancient Norsemen saw the Adam and Eve of the New World, which should once more arise after twilight and the destruction of the gods. They caught Norse names for Adam and Eve of the world to be Lift and Lift Racer. Now I want to look that up. It's literally L-I-F and L-I-F-T-H-R-A-S-I-R. So Lith and Lithracer, maybe. Looking to the sky, above the sky, the Mayans of the ancient days found the origin of mind. It was a goddess. They named her by a Mayan name, signifying mother of the nature mind. And if you know anything about the Mayan culture, I can see why she didn't put the name in here. There's no way I would have been able to pronounce it. But look up the Mayan goddess, mother of the nature mind, and see what her name was. Okay? It's interesting that she chose the Mayans. Okay. All right. Gazing high, Hesiod, the Greek, saw rushing spirits scattering gifts among the children of humanity, which the children of humanity took no notice of except when the gifts rushed into them here and there, as stars sometimes collide with each other. Hesiod did not seem to discover that the children of humanity may woo the rushing gods to grant each its own kind of gift to the wooing one. Other Greeks tell us that as the worshippers of Mercury wooed Mercury to grant them prosperity, and the worshippers of Morpheus cried unto him for sleep, lifting up their hands with their eyes and beckoning. Morpheus, till in his whiteness he folded them in sleep. So every 19 years, the higher wooed Apollo came into sight to grant happy harvests and beautiful offspring. Some oft-time watcher towards the heights above the skies, to what a great king once called the glory above the heavens, is to catch a new language. It is not to come to the greatest linguist among us, for they have had their gaze on humanity to catch their intonations and accents, or on books to teach them grammatics and word derivations. The new lingua shall be the speech of righteous judgment to some second Abraham facing unspeakable judgeship, bearing their head to the inscrutable unseen, meekly declaring, shall not the judge of all earth do right? And the great multitude shall speak their language, a great multitude who no person can number, for it shall be the speech of heaven and earth as one speech, whose words shall instantly accomplish what whereunto they are sent. If Apollonius could speak 6 languages, he had never studied because of his much talking to invisible gods. How wonderful must be the discourse of the mighty God, great in counsel and mighty to work. For that each new Abraham, who much and often notices that the judge of all the earth is speaking divinely executed words, divinely executive words, never before heard on this planet. The very name Abraham means a great multitude. What a wide swath shall the new Abram or Abraham cut, they who hold their conversation high. Notice how broken up and wildly dissatisfied people are if events and circumstances run into unwanted cosmic currents which no human being seems to be able to stem. Yeah, take a look at the world right now. There are a lot of people really unhappy right now. They are no Abram or Abraham of the new dispensation. Only the old language of grieving and rebellion advances forth from them towards us. Ooh, right there. Only the old language of grieving and rebellion. That's a turn of phrase. The psychometry of them is old Ephraim, like a silly dove without a heart, as Hosea the prophet explained. Let us notice the comrade Abram drew toward himself by agreeing that a wonderful judge is handling the universe. Melchizedek visited him. Origen said Melchizedek was an angel. Martin Luther and Melanchthon said he was a Shem, a survivor of the deluge. Epiphanius said he was the Son of God appearing in human form. The Jews said he was the Messiah made visible. He brought out bread and wine to Abraham and blessed him. I set myself up for this by reading Greek names. And so I'm just going to get through it. Okay. So he who holds his conversation. Okay. So they who hold their conversation high shall comrade with noble visitants, and cause their inspiring instructions through their speech to ray forth new truth throughout the earth. Is it all well with thee, saith the high judge? According to thy judgment, it is well with me. Therefore it is well, they shall answer. Thus they grant the judgment of the great judge to strike fire with their own judgment. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so thus as bamboo stick striking bamboo stick, sparking them into new life conditions. So, and only so, responding, can a person swing in with the advancing new order, rejoicing with new rejoicings, shedding across the earth morning beams of the new age. Let us isolate with the heights, that our ministry be of the heights, new, far-reaching, irresistible, after the order of Melchizedek. Again, Greek. Attention to the overlooking vast highest self. I know I'm getting to the end of this book, but she's making it not easy. Okay. Attention to the overlooking vast highest wakes self-recognition, calls attention to hidden self, that what Novalis, the poet friend of Schiller, called our transcendental ego. Some other long ago mystic Germans noticed that as they were glancing upward, they found the heights gazing towards them. Then they declared, God's sight with which God sees me is the same sight with which I see God. As all invisible operations clashing together form visibles, so right judgment is made visible in speech and action by looking towards the judge that shall be in those days, as Moses foresaw for us. It shall bring forth thy judgments as the noonday. We have certain invisibles to glance towards which cause undesirable speech and action to formulate. Notice John Calvin, upward watching towards his own flying imaginations and seeing them smiling on his actions as he burned good servants for disagreeing with him. Beza, an adorer of Calvin's imagination, declared that all who oppose Calvin ought to be hanged. But when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Thy judgment was unto me a robe and a diadem. That's a crown, by the way. Thy speech thy speech. You know what? I'm going to bet this is a printing error. It says bewrayeth thee. I think it's supposed to say betrayeth thee. So I think we've got another printing error here. Thy speech betrayeth thee, the officer said to Peter, who had been with Jesus, the new teacher, in Jerusalem. Doubtless, when Peter spoke of high watch, they knew he was a Christian and could probably raise the dead. By attention to the highest wakes self-recognition that rises to cross the bar above prejudices and false judgments. Okay, hang on. That's a good one. Only attention to the highest wakes self-recognition that rises to cross the bar above the prejudices and false judgments. Okay? Across the bar, truth is the only language. Truth, according to that language, has promised to stop the discords of human minds and its angry sensations. We are all candidates for that victorious truth not yet spoken. There is a health zone facing us. Notice that the sick who have not crossed the health zone have to spring above the bar, laying a hold of health, or they must stay under this side of the health bar. David lifted up his hands with his eyes and caught onto the hands of health stretching towards him. I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me, he acknowledged. So also Peter, laying a hold of the hands above the bar stretching towards him, crossed above into health, taking many people along with him. Okay, now, whatever else is going on in this paragraph, here's what I want to point out to you. David lifted up his hands with his eyes and caught on the hands of health stretching towards him. And that's one of the things, wherever you learn this lesson, one of the lessons about New Thought is that when we reach towards the divine always reaches back. The divine is reaching towards us even when we are not reaching towards the divine. But for us to meet in the middle, we've got to do the work of reaching towards the divine. Even Rumi says that. So, and caught on the hands of health stretching towards him. The divine is always reaching towards us. It is up to us to reach back. Okay, moving on with Emma. There is originality beyond the bar. Let us lay hold of original knowledge, stretching hitherward, and be drawn up into new quickening doctrines. Let us speak with new tongues. The quickening wisdom hither streaming shall cause those people who, like Sisera, are planning to do the world mischief, to suddenly forget their plans and themselves be drawn high across the bar into wise peace. Let us acknowledge high judgment. Let us cross the bar into that state where we are not afraid. Judging this side, the judgment bar, we are often afraid. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil. Come, O people, let us all together cross the upper bar, laying hard hold of the hands that, stretching towards us, draw us into fearless wholeness. We went through the fire and water, but thou brought us out into a wealthy place. It sent from above, it took me, it drew me out of many waters. Let us all together be born into the above. The apostles, called high in their day, led off by Peter the ardent, by stretching forth thine hand to heal, he cried, signs and wonders may be done by the name of thy holy child Jesus. In strength of hand the Lord spake thus unto me, reported the son of Amos, the brother of the king. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. A lot of those were quotes, by the way, so just so you know. The executive faculty in humanity is their inner visional sense. Whenever this visional sense looks, other senses are pointed and insist likewise with it. Looking upward to a sun it cannot see, the oak tree rises into a higher country, all sunshine, wind, and rain, to nurture its awakening greatness of body, limb, and leaf. Enduring as seeing the sun of righteousness with healing in its wings, humanity enters the country above, where visible angels and their judgments comrade with them. A new sunshine gives them new views of their fellow human, their fellow people. No longer can they see the precious children of Zion any other than the fine gold Jeremiah declared them to be. As the morning sun shows off the roses in the garden to be altogether different from what they looked to be in moonless nighttime, so people everywhere are judged differently by those who have crossed the bar into the bright upper country. Well, that's interesting. No longer can they see the precious children of Zion any other than the fine gold Jeremiah declared them to be. Interesting. Okay. Let us not look back to Chaldea or Egypt or India for the great secret of miracle working life. Let us look to the upper country close at hand. By strength of hand, the Lord brought us out of this place, shall say the new leaders heavenward. Let us spring past the bar of bondage into the free country of hell and right judgment. Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Caliph Ali was called the Lion of God because high vision had taught him that humanity's own lot or portion in life is seeking after them. When ye pray, believe that ye have, and ye shall have, said Jesus. They all say the same things when they look to the upper kingdom. Far through the misty future, like an arrow of golden light, at an hour of joy ye know not, is winging its silent flight. But how can we enter the joyous realm while we are bemoaning our lower lot? Let me repeat that, okay? Because you need to hear that again. But how can we enter the joyous realm while we are bemoaning our lower lot? Even Dante saw that we must take our eye off our circumstances and look up to the river of heaven flowing over our heads. He agreed with the son of Amos, and when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. Not that I was expecting that ending, but yes. Okay? Your bones shall flourish like an herb. The Muslim knows that knowing that their own... Hang on. Let me try the sentence again. What is going on here? Okay. The Muslim knows that knowing that their own is this minute looking toward them is a drawstring on its hurrying toward them. Knowing is a drawstring. Deep in the heart of these, soundlessly low, the Vak language wordless, thy soul pointeth lot. The nomenon in the heart is ever tending towards the upper country. Homeward is the Tao's course. By the law of number 10, we learn to take back to ourselves the lordship we gave to defeat deafness and death. We take back to ourselves the power we gave to people to hurt our feelings. We take back to ourselves the power we gave to poverty, inconsequence, ignorance. We learn that the 24 elders of paradise are gratified at our temerity, and shout, we give thee thanks, Lord God Almighty, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned. By the law of number 11, we learn to use our hither drawn plenteous power, Emma. Okay. I don't know if that's a real word or if she's just making words up to make this hard. Because it makes you pay attention because you never know what she's going to say next. Okay. By the law of number 11, we learn to use our hither drawn plenteousness of power to spring upward into our native and rightful new wisdom, new health, new views on life. The Egyptians saw in us, so re-empowered, a likeness to the scarab drawing sustenance from the very dirt ball that humiliated it, and using that sustenance so drawn to strengthen its own down-pressed wings to fly into free sunshine, free airs, free rains, free denizens of a higher life. This is not only euphony, sweet wordings, it is humanly practical. Immediately, people do stop hurting our feelings and sink into flatness when we take to ourselves the power we gave them to hurt us. Immediately, ignorance lets go, and genius of a new order is ours when we take back to ourselves the harming power we gave to ignorance. So our genius for rising as for helpers to the discouraged and defeated in the battles of human beings with their human dirt balls fulfills the prophecies of 3,000 years ago. I will lead them in new paths they have not known. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall be an angelic ministry. It is no wonder that Jesus of Nazareth could go in and out of the kingdom at his will, seeing that he had taken back to himself the crushing power he had given to earth and the hiding power he had given to heaven. How triumphant his voice! All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Where I am, there ye may be also. Was not Paul wonderful to say, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me? Were not the Brahmins wonderful to discover, Brahma is you yourself? Was not Jesus wonderful to explain, did not it that made that which is without make that which is within also? Himself always crossing the bar beyond the shadow system, forever finding that the highest self and the innermost self is the one self. People act foolishly by reason of judging from the evidence of the shadow system this side of the highest. As if our money is snatched away, we judge that we are deprived and humiliated. That is judging within the shadow system, this side of the high rich zone. Looking up and crossing the judgment line, we lay hold of the hand that, stretching hitherforth, giveth liberally miracles of unexpected combinations. Shadows of finished splendors from across the bar do surely then transact in our behalf. So we judge another way and word concerning life. We judge with Abraham that truly the judge of all the earth doeth right. We jubilantly talk face to face. In thine hand it is to make great and to give strength. Riches and honor come of thee. Okay, hang on one second. I want to keep that line about people acting foolishly. Okay, and now I'm going to grab a drink because, I'm going to make you work for it. But it is work I'm happy to do. Wise Hebrews of old were watching for the power of the highest to overshadow some divinity-sensitive human and drop a Messiah into the world. It is declared by certain Hebrews that many Jews have really believed that Jesus and Mary fulfilled the prophecy, though they were pledged to act against their own believing. As there is an exoneural influence from secret believing, we now see over 600 billion declared Christians as outward marks of the secretly held believings of the Hebrews. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that paragraph. Okay. All right, Emma. You know what? We're just going to move on. I have feelings about it, and they're not good. But I'm not sure that I can explain them. And some of that will come down to the concept of Messiah, because what was handed to the Christians is that there was one Messiah. But in the Hebrew tradition, Messiah means something different. There was never just one. So that's one of the reasons why that paragraph is slightly troubling, because it doesn't fully delve into it flattens the concept of the Messiah. I think that's the best way for me to say it. It flattens the concept of Messiah. So, but yeah, that's why it's troubling. Okay, so now you know why I feel the way I do about that. For unexpressed believings come to outward showings. They are the idle words that burst forth into active exhibitions. They are still believings that find their way into loud results. And that paragraph right there should give you pause, for the simple reason of, if you wonder why your life looks the way it does, if it doesn't look the way you think you should, then the question is what is it that you believe deep down? When Jesse does the golden spiral, and if I can remember, I'll try and link that video to this video, at least on YouTube. When he does the golden spiral, he talks about our unconscious beliefs. And it's super important to understand we have beliefs that are so built into the system, that we're not even consciously aware of them. That's why we call them unconscious beliefs. And as what she's saying is, secret beliefs still can have very loud results. So that's a really, interesting paragraph. That every idle word that people shall speak, they shall give account thereof. Now is come the time of the dead, the still, that they should be judged. An emir of Kashmir had an occult reader of secret unexpressed believings. It was his genius to lay his finger on the unconsciously held believings of the high court officials and to prophesy exactly how they would actualize. Many an important personage was astonished at being removed from office. Many a lesser personage was amazed at being promoted. The emir sent the occultist to England to put his finger on the sub-secret of England's greatness. Britannia rules the waves, and the sun never sets on her dominions. This, for the outward grandeur of a little island people, must be explained to the emir. He waited 3 years while the occultist watched for hidden springs. Finally, the occultist found the deepmost national secret of England's greatness. It was IHS Jesu Homina Salvator, or In Hoc Signio, Jesus, the Savior of humanity, or In this sign conquer. The emir ordered the mystical formula IHS to be inscribed on all his own possessions, curtains, rugs, gold, and silver plate. Go to, now I also will be a great power, he said. The Hebrews of old had an almost forgotten formula of faith. It was, there shall be no person able, no, there shall be, nope, I'm making up words, hang on. It was, there shall no person be able to stand before thee. I will contend with them that contendeth with thee. On this account, the Jews were not allowed to number their army. They might have an army, but small or great in number. The argument thereof should always be the unseen Almighty, in whose victorious alliance they firmly believed. They just as firmly believed that if they numbered their army, it would be defeated. That's interesting. David had always conquered all foes with his invincible soldiery. He had become proud and hard-headed, as victorious kings always become, and numbered his forces. Though Joab, his leading general, implored him not to number implored him not to number them, saying, the Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But David made out the tally of his ranks, oblivious to Joab's protests. Then Gad, who was David's occult reader of the outrushings of secretly held, unspoken believings, told King David of the opening he had made for the outrush of the sub-reservoir of universal Hebrew certainty, that numbering the army was disastrous. He showed David that numbering the army was doubting the ally. Okay. Numbering the army was doubting the ally. Within 3 days, 70,000 of David's most stalwart warriors had fallen dead of pestilence. The king had made an opportunity for sub-believing to come forth with unrestrainable energy into nationwide manifestation. Jerusalem, the south, is besieged to the 11th year of Zedekiah, or justice of Jehovah, until the only secret believing is the boldly declared original truth of my father's planting. The gnosis, not subject to defeat. There is ever the menace of some idle word. Whatsoever a person soweth, that shall they also reap. One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. There have been 2 grandly uttered great believings in the history of humanity. Really? I'll be interested to see what this is. They have sprung boldly forth from the divinely planted deep wisdoms of the inward parts. High watch has struck back to them. Great have been the outward demonstration of these 2 believings. Humanity has lately crossed them over with disbelievings and sodden them down with refusings, till they are lost to view as original truth, capable of mighty executiveness. They are sung and recited now, long since, as beautiful figures of speech, symbolics of unknown laws. But when God put wisdom in the inward parts, and showed the deep findings of the upward look towards its vast countenance, it made these believings the energy of executiveness to save from war, pestilence, disease, and death. The first believing is in the power of its revealed name. For this cause I have raised thee up, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. The name of the God of Jacob defend thee. And this is its commandment that we should believe on the name of its Son, Jesus Christ. Whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. Our Redeemer, thy name is from everlasting. The second deeply planted gnosis is that humanity does not fight for the Almighty. The Almighty fights for humanity. Ooh. Which right there means the Crusades were nonsense. Think about that for a minute. The second deeply planted gnosis is that humanity does not fight for the Almighty fights for humanity. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation which the Lord will work for you. For the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight. Fear not, I will help thee, thou Jacob, and ye few people of Israel. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. One attempted believing there has been, over which humanity has stumbled and fallen and quarreled much. No one has given humanity the clue, for nothing of it is to be revealed till the fulfilled moment of the steadfast obedience to the ever-uttering mandate, seek ye my face evermore. This attempted believing has been as to the substance and nature of the presence of deity in the universe. Humanity has partly believed in the being of deity as principle, and partly believed in the being of deity as person. As principle demands reasoning, it follows that the ill-made or weak-brained are left out of the scheme of salvation. The weak-brained can hardly come at the algebra of the one presence in the universe. Therefore, as I am that one. To the very cleverest brained, Jesus said, why reason ye? As though the reasoning of the reasoners was not the light of salvation. What I say unto you, I say unto all. Watch, he said, and he repeated the injunction. There is no child so stupid but can be made to look up to one ever beholding them, till gleams of intelligence steal down the track of their upward looking. As person intimates form and collect of parts, the term person applied to deity has stirred wide human resentment. Who is like unto thee, glorious, fearful, doing wonders, sang the children of Israel. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find it out. With it is terrible majesty, cried Elihu the Buzite, yet the children of Israel and Elihu the Buzite had come nearer to knowing deity than any on earth before them, or, saving the apostolic hierarchy, ever since their aspirations. The nature of deity is undetermined, reads the most modern of cyclopedians. By the instruction of the 10th study in divine law, we find that lower attentions strike back no further my page blew and now I've lost my place. I'm gonna start over. By instruction of the 10th study in divine law, we find that lower attentions drive back no further than the shadow system gathered round the throne place of our inward being, while attention towards the countenance of the High Redeemer inhabiting eternity strike back to the original believer, the divine gnosis, the throne place of our own being, where the knowing of the Lord itself lies deep. Daniel got caught in a lion's den by much knowledge of cause and effect in wickedness. He was in the teeth of the law of what a person soweth, so that shall they also reap. Had he not aforetime thrown other people to the lions? But he had never let go the bold statement of his inward certainty that God would send the angels to keep him. O king, live forever, he said. My God hath sent its angel, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. Likewise, Paul also got caught by stones, till he died of stones. Had he not in times past stoned other people to death? But his inward certainty of that, he that believeth in me, though they were dead, yet shall they live, waked him from death. Thus mighty is an inward certainty, firmly maintained, never ignored, never forgotten. Okay. So, it sounds like right here, Emma's saying, you're going to make mistakes. And you're going to get caught by your mistakes. However, if you have that deep inward knowing, it won't destroy you completely. So, yeah. Interesting, right? I think that's one of the reasons why Ruth used to say, I want to know this in my bones. I want to know this teaching in my bones. Yeah. And that makes sense. Because it doesn't matter what little outer beliefs you might have. If you know the teaching in the bones, in the end, you're going to be okay. Nations with nationwide certainties should remember them often. Keep them flaming by bold, oft-time expression. If there is certainty of conquering and salvation in Jesus hominem salvator, a nation should never talk or write of sacrificing of its people, but only of conquerings and victories of its people, daringly going forth in the power of Jesus. If it has once stated its trust in the Almighty to deliver with bloodless victory, it should never let the trust get cooled over by fear of armed foe or dread of failure of its backer and ally. On account of not fearing, wrote Isaiah, thou shalt be far from oppression. The 11 stars did obeisance to me, Joseph. All the stars and the laws of the stars gave way to the miraculous touch of the supernal Joseph means. He will add, he, the supernal unseen, will add to life as it now stands, life by the miracle. He will add to the powers as they now show forth, powers unaccountable. Every attempt was made to slay Joseph, but the unslayable supernal was his shield. Poverty and slavery tried to crush him, but the unseen Lord, uncrushable, folded him as a buoying sheath. He was not afraid because he had made the fearless one his high watchtower. Is not fearlessness a defense? But how does a coward generate fearlessness? By no process, we may be sure, except by much attention to the author of fearlessness. Do we not show forth that which constantly attracts our inward gaze? Consider how the sight of the angels of Mons altered the looks and conducts of the soldiers who beheld them. In the 11th out in the 11th year was the house finished. And Solomon said that all who looked to the house should feel its mystical rulership for miraculous liberty. House signifies character. Finished house is character at its 11th state, with all its mystical powers in full action. To look at the light burning in the upper chamber of the house of Rai Shiligram, Postmaster General of Northwestern India, was to sense the effect of Rai Shiligram's mystical rulership. He had faced the splendor of invisible Brahma till his whole being was infused with the miracle of Brahma. He was certain that if he were naked and alone in a desert, mighty Brahma would feed him, clothe him, shelter him, protect him from ravenous beasts. The rulership of his unshakable certainty was like far gleaming points, irresistible to the people who caught sight even of his house. They all felt like throwing aside their families, their businesses, their clothes, their previous minds, and fleeing to trackless desert places to be alone with great Brahma. The house of Gideon had reached its 11th stage. Look on me was all he had to say to cause Israel's armies to wake victorious liberty for all of Israel. Peter and John had touched the 11th stage of character. Look on us was all they had to say for natural laws to unclap. Character is judgment, and judgment is character. We are known to our neighbors according to our judgment. If we judge according to universal protection, seeing all humanity embraced in its mighty arms, upbearing and defending as wings of eagle mothers under untried eaglet pinions, we give all who look toward our house new emotions, new judgments concerning universal Allah, Brahma, God, as though for them a new light had broken on life and its mysteries. They catch bold assurance of omnipotent augment. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves, wrote the scientific prophet Habakkuk. Did not Socrates say that right judgment straightens out conduct, and wrong judgment deflects it? Did he not urge people to get right judgment by some attention to that which would eventuate in right judgment? The establishment of the Jesus Christ judgment in humanity is the fruition towards which all religious and mystical laws are bent. The Spirit hath committed all judgment unto the child, he said. My judgment is just. The judgment day is come when all people judge the Jesus Christ judgment. It is the day of fire and brimstone to all other judgments. Appearances count for nothing. What stands back of appearance in its unalterable excellence holds undiverted attention. Is not humanity back of its appearance of folly and decay an immortal being, stately, wise, flawless? Ezekiel says we have been in Eden, the garden of God, when we have looked toward our own deep rock integrity, our hidden God self. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God, and the ruby is thy covering. Taking Martin Luther's advice to let the scriptures interpret themselves, we let Job interpret covering or robe. My judgment was a robe and a diadem, he declared. So the ruby signifies right judgment and kingship. A king that sitteth on the throne of judgment scattereth away all evils with their eyes. No mistake is made by one who looks straight forth from their integrity center. They see a full barrel of meal where the widow sees bare boards. They see genius where others are seeing failure or death or insanity. They are the judge who sees the way to raise the dead as the mathematician sees the way to cube the fraction. They see the right relationship of person to person, and their word is the expression of their sight. Did not the word of the Lord in Elijah's mouth raise the Zephyrith child? How had his word caught the spark of such executiveness? By his recognition of his own I, the person of God. How had they come to such a high esteem of their own I? By much attention to the Lord God of Israel, before whom they declared themselves as forever standing. The 11th lesson in divine law tells of the integrity within as right judgment resident in all people alike. Covered in all people by flesh and its mind as in a crypt of darkness. As silent is right judgment as if dead. It is called the mountain of Zion by Jeremiah, who wails that the mountain of Zion, which is desolate, the foxes will walk upon it. He means that small, low, mean, myopic judgments run ahead and formulate our speech. The precious children of Zion, he said, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers? As Elijah's recognition of his I, as the word nigh him, even in his heart and in his mouth, came from much recognition of the high Redeemer inhabiting eternity, and this looked forth from him as right estimates, so other people catch their self-recognitions from associating with stronger people and pass on their judgments wherever they go. Many seek the ruler's face, but every person's final judgment cometh from the Lord. The Ganges mother loved her baby. She hugged it to her with passionate devotion, but she threw it to the crocodiles because her husband's judgment was the ruler's face that she was daily seeking. So her judgment, catching fire with her ruler's judgment, struck forth into action against her beloved baby. Okay, Emma. Striking a bamboo stick strikes fire. So judgment sharpeneth judgment. Notice the difference between the prophet Elisha's judgment striking against the Shumite inner cords and the judgment of the Ganges husband on the Ganges mother's cord. Elisha was judging always the judgment of life, joy, victory. Is it well with thee? He asked of the Shumite, whose heart was breaking. So strong was Elisha's living agreement with life and joy that she answered, It is well. Is it well with thy husband? Asked Elisha. It is well, she answered. Is it well with the child? It is well, was still her word. The smite of Elisha's judgment on the waiting cords of her being struck forth the spark speech that walked life in the dead child. That waked life in the dead child. Joy in the husband. The day of judgment in the mother. Saul caught fire with the judgments of the prophet Samuel by constant association, till the people of Israel were astonished at Saul's prophecies. There is one with whom we can associate till our speech betrayeth us. Its vast countenance, shining as the sun, now beams upon our heads divine wisdoms and glows life-giving actions in our undertakings. It is the great ruler whose judgment strikes fire with our waiting cords, till the lost word sparks on earth with its instantaneous miracle-working energy. The life coal lingering in the faint must fan to flaming fires of undying omnipotence at the smite of the lost word on the ethers. The joy chord, mute in the breast of humanity, must tremble with good news as far as from a far country at the lost word's sweet import. The judgment of the great ruler is on the finished estate that faces us from every infinitesimal point in the universe. All things and all people are adjustable at every instant in their own finished estate of flawless excellence, as judged by the great ruler's judgment. They all wait the promised new speech to show their own finished fact. Give ye ear, my judgment is toward you, saith the great judge, and I will come near to you to judgment. Pray as if you had already received, taught the master. Of course we have already received, if it is already finished and near at hand. Is it not waiting the lighted eye to make the prayer of acknowledgement a simple truth? The angle of repose in physics is that angle at which one body may rest upon another without falling. The angle of repose between God and humanity is where humanity's judgment and the judgment of God agree. I have put my judgment in thee for a light. Here is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, saith the judge of all the earth. They neither marry nor are given in marriage, said Jesus. Of course not. They are already married from all eternity under the eye of Allah. What is all this marrying and giving in marriage but trying to adjust to the finished marriage? This great truth is visible enough to Baal Shem so that he could sometimes see which people were married, and he led them across the breadth of the land to meet each other. He knew, like all advanced Muslims, that what ought to be is. If we ought to be there, then we are there. Let us sleep. A week's journey was performed in one night while they slept, because the great Muslim rested on the ought to be that is. What? Sometimes she pulls examples out of, what are you talking about? But that's what she's doing. She's giving us examples. So, we can always look them up. Solomon was the forerunner of the resters in the ought to be that is. He knew that according to the judgment of Jehovah, God, he already knew. Therefore he knew. And though he had not studied them, he told of the stars and the stones and the growing things, from the cedars of Lebanon to the hyssop that springeth on the wall. Jesus knew that according to God, he already knew all things. Therefore, he needed not that any person should teach him. Is it not written in your law, ye are gods? He asked the people. As there is no respect of persons in the highest I am, he told his disciples to call no person upon the earth their father, unless, regardless of appearances, that the straight line of healing energy from their father might run through them, to the revealing that verily is everywhere they walked. Thus, to them, the apparently dead were as alive as the apparently living. To them, the sick were only as straight sticks deflected in water. So they took the sick by hand and pulled them standing. Rise and walk, they said. They were hard masters, reaping what they had not sown, for they had not sown the seeds of good instruction, and see them spring up where the sick or dead were concerned. They saw that what already is was under everybody's feet, and all anybody had to do was stand on it. God. Emma, first you talk about what you'd reap and then you sown, and now you're saying what ought to be is. Right place, right people, right powers, right possessions. This is the high science of Jesus Christ. Go thy way, thy child liveth. Anthony of Padua suddenly saw into the kingdom. From his pulpit in Padua, he heard them telling the woman that her son was dead. "He is alive," shouted Anthony, and to the astonishment of all Padua, not one of who had any knowledge of the unalterable finished fact, the boy they had seen as dead was found to be alive. The Finnish woman subconsciously knew that according to the judgment of the Lord inexorable, she could not be in debt, for that was hers. For what was hers unalterably, and what was the other's was his from the beginning, and nothing could take from or add to the original endowment. With some awe, but not with any astonishment, she saw $60 multiplied to 160 on the table under her fingers. As she was only reputed to be in debt 150, she wondered for a moment what the extra 10 might be for, when she suddenly remembered that she had always believed the till would never be empty. Her forgotten believing had come to open showing. The word idle, even as the dead, had come to expression. Now is come the time of the dead, when some heaven-born recognition of the eternal actual wakes in humanity. And the 11th was the hyacinth. Pushing the red of the hyacinth to its highest value, we have the ruby, symbol of beauty and symbol of judgment. Beauty and judgment present the same credentials for our favor. They represent the proper adjustment of part to part, person to person. A good judge is more sought after than a king. They put people into right relation with their fellow people. Beauty is the proper adjustment of part to part. How beautiful, we exclaim of the Taj Mahal of Agra, India, and of the Mosque of Omar at Jerusalem. Yet each part of each temple is no more beautiful by itself than the similar parts of millions of other buildings. It is the proportion, the balance, the imitable adjustment of part to part of the Taj Mahal and the Mosque of Omar that satisfies our secret Zion standard. The Lord shouts out. Yep. Hang on. The Lord shall send down judgment with fire. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger. The greatest stranger to humanity is the Lord, is God the Lord. Let me try that sentence again. The Lord shall send down judgment with fire. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger. The greatest stranger to humanity is God the Lord. Some heard the sound of its voice and said, "It thundered." Others said, "An angel spake." But Jesus heard the voice of God in coherent speech. "I have both glorified it, my name, and will glorify it again." The judgment of the stranger was perverted by the people, but Jesus received it as the mystery of that name which, when called upon, saves from sword, famine, and defeat. He sealed to humanity the foretellings of the great prophets, that his ineffable name, key to the mysteries of the universe, should part the ages old silence with the promised new language, hastening over the Tao or track of the high recognition. And the 11th lot came forth to Eliasib, whom God restores. "I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, and the caterpillar. If any person sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let them have thy cloak also. For what is the person suing? Surely they are violently striking out for adjustment to their own lot or portion in life. They strike for judgment. They must not mistake their person. Meet them with the judgment firing one who has companioned with the owner of the spheres. Give them the goods they strike for, till by thee they also companion with the original giver and divine restorer to each person of all their inalienable rights. With what measure ye meet, shall it be measured to you again. There are coats and cloaks of greater value to take the place of the coats and cloaks wrested from humanity from the person by the other person on their rough way to their own goods. Okay. Oh. I think that there are better examples of that. I read a story on Facebook where a Ku Klux Klan man called a Jewish cantor and just said all kinds of awful things. And so the Jewish cantor called the Ku Klux Klanman back and kept leaving messages and kept leaving messages and kept leaving messages. And finally the guy answered the phone and said, "What do you want?" And the Jewish cantor said, "Well, I think you're sick. Would you like a ride to the doctor?" That is what that example is about. It is about giving until the person that you are giving to sees the same thing you do. It turns out that the guy only lived another year, but when he died, because he was very ill, when he died in the Jewish cantor's home, surrounded by his family, cared for by his family, because he saw what the Jewish cantor saw, the beauty in humanity. So that is the example that she is trying to say is like, if somebody comes after you for your cloak, give them your cloak too, until they see the same thing that you do, until they see the humanity and they see that they don't have to take what they want away from other people to get their good. But that was Emma's example. Now you've heard mine. Whoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn them the other one also. They, as before, are on their violent mistaken strike for their own good. Let them not mistake their person. Nothing shall by any means hurt thee as the person strikes fire with thy right judgment. No person taketh my life from me. So, estimating the blows of human encounter, we cross the bar between earth and heaven, and the ruby blood in our veins is the morning glow of the new kingdom. I saw the city, said John, and boiling oil and slander felt the estimates of the John supernal. They had no power to hurt. Thou shalt not steal. Is this a commandment or a promise? This must be according to your ruler's face, lawmaker of the Ganges or Lord Jehovah of the fixed estate. One veils the sight of the inalienable, undiminished,able that faces us. One exposes the self-existent, rounded good, not to be added to by action nor non-action forever. One whose judgment has been the strike on our secret chords, causes us to shut our neighbor away as a diminisher. One causes us to see them driving for our judgment's bamboo smite, passed on from the Lord of the inexorable, undivided. One who sees the everywhere fixed lot waiting its owner's acknowledgement. Your speech betrayeth your class. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Have we not discovered that the name of the High Redeemer is the lost word? Okay. Why are we doing the 10 Commandments? but she is. Okay. Have we not discovered that the name of the High Redeemer is the lost word, the apocalyptic trumpet, which causes the shadows to flee away from the dead, the sick, the unhappy, the earth hindered, the instant it is spoken? It cannot be taken in vain. It is instantaneous in its rending of the curtains of hiding. Has the name God this instantaneous sign of its executiveness? What name can we not take vainly? We have learned that as the language of our lips betrays our associations, either with the learnings of the schools or the knower of the schools unknown, so our answer to the Mosaic Decalogue betrays our God. And our acquaintance with Jesus Christ, holder of the new name, that cannot be taken in vain, tells whether we are hearing the speaking of the name that cannot be taken in vain, or driving round about to find it. For the Lord Christ only hath daringly decreed, I will give a new name which no person knoweth, save they that receiveth it. Those that thou gayest me, said Jesus, I have kept, and none of them is lost, save the son of perdition. Son is an idea, and perdition is lost. I have lost only the idea of loss. He said, the idea of loss is Judas. He is lost, and in the name of Judas is Matthias, the gift of God. And Matthias is numbered with the 11. And he is the value of all the 11 in one, as the gift of Elohim compasses all the good humanity could ever ask for, or even think as good. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I've lost the thread of what in the heck is she talking about? So we're just going to keep going, okay? Is there not one sense of loss that haunts the best of the children of earth? The death of the one sense of loss is the death by which they must glorify the great restorer. In the river Euphrates, or the river of human life that flows through humanity, we dam the onflow of original goods as they drive from the banks of the land beautiful to the port supernal. We dam by hugging hard to the goods that harbor the Judas miasma of loss. Okay, so I think we're back to that idea of which she started with. We're holding too hard onto the old ideas, so we don't have room for the new ideas. Okay? Approbativeness is hugged with its Judas miasma of loss. The dog whines under the table when its neighbor's dog is praised. Yet no praise bestowed on the neighbor's dog detract from the whining dog's standing. It is only the idea or sense of detraction that hurts. Could the unhappy beast know the truth that he would be free from his miserable Judas? This is the death by which many, even great people, might glorify their heavenly giver's impartial munificence, namely by letting others be praised to high water mark for what they themselves, the great people, feel they deserve all recognition. They must stand to the truth which the dog cannot appreciate. They must know that the praises belonging to them are theirs, and are near at hand, nearer for the spaces made by the departing economians. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small, saith their judge, their great original. Affection is hugged with its Judas sting of the possibility of loss. What a log it is among the goods driving down the human river. Someone wins away our beloved in whom we have delighted. No hope remains. Philosophy may declare that when half gods go, the gods arrive. But neither philosophy nor goodwill can help the heart to let go its one only among all the others. But why should we not trust the voice of the highest? We are not dogs that cannot listen to the voice of revelation. If the beloved is ours, none can remove the beloved. I will restore, saith the miracle-working restorer. Confidence in the miracle of Jehovah is the ruby stone among the gems of character. It colors the blood with living fire. Let go for the miracle of Jehovah. Make way for the miracle. Ambition is charged with the miasma of humiliating Judas. How many of humanity have dropped out of sight because their high seats have failed them that others might succeed in their places? It is the agony of kings, emperors, presidents, officials, all along the lines of human emulation. Who has had voice to reach them with the divine verily, verily, that seats, thrones, honors, let go when they let go, making way for the restorer's miracle of honors. Age, nor sex, nor handicap can hinder the coming of the miracle of the unseen giver. The high seat belonging to each of earth's millions on millions must see the old ambition log in the Euphrates life river give way before it can come into place. Sit thou in that seat, and none can make thee rise, declareth Allah the inexorable. Acquisitiveness is another sign of Judah. The fear of the loss of possessions. Okay. All right. Acquisitiveness is another sign of Judah. Oh, there we go. Hang on. I'm trying to... Well, she really has it in for Judas, doesn't she? I mean, I get it, right? Okay. Acquisitiveness is another sign of Judas. The fear of the loss of possessions goes ever with the acquisition of possessions. Nothing can neutralize the secret fear of loss in the breast of the owner of goods, save attention towards the mystic light of the inexorable determined that shines unnoticed over their head. What Allah has given cannot be diminished, and Allah has given more than humanity has amassed or ever shall amass. Humanity's face turning towards destruction. How can a person help judging according to destruction? We judge according to our attentions. The watcher towards unlimited ownership in the upper realm, so near, has inward assurance of security. Why do people build battleships or lock their doors? Surely it is because of the fear of loss of some sort. Nothing voids of the Judah fear of loss till high watch teaches free letting go of fleeing goods for the coming of Matthias, the gift of the Father Munificent. Letting go, how free may be the life river when we know that wherefores of our denudings. This he spake, signifying by what death he should glorify God. Wheresoever thou lookest, there is Allah. I am going to point out to you that Allah is simply the Arabic word for God. Okay? Just in case anybody gets their knickers in a twist. Or knickers in a knot. Knickers in a knot? Yeah. Allah is simply the Arabic word for God. Whew. All right. From every point in the universe, the question faces us. Is it well with thee? and to every point in the universe, the question-smitten chords of our being answer, according to thy judgment, it is well with me. Therefore, it is well. By so agreeing, humanity strikes beyond the pairs of opposites, success or ill success, honor or dishonor, and is they of whom the apocalyptic seer writes, to them that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne. The vision of the universal judge, ever towards the children of humanity, being met by the return gaze of the children of humanity, drops into the beautiful speech of the new age just at our gates. The beatitudes of the great judge are all uttered as invigorating high science to the initiated. Notice how the non-initiate stumbles at the blessedness of being reviled and persecuted and spoken ill against falsely. But the initiate is no crying saint or rebellious Nietzsche. They know that the persecutor by evil speakings and hateful revilings is knocking at the right gates. The initiate at their judgment seat stands to it that the reviler is only violently taking the kingdom of their own heaven. The evil speaker is striking for right judgment. They are the Shumite over again meeting their Elisha at the Tishbite, who does not flinch from yielding the basic good that the reviler is earning by hard labor, though they know that the reviler might have had their good by an easier and quicker method. Elisha did not quail at the signs of weeping. He held his own. Let us never flinch at what is happening around us. What is transpiring above us is our concern, and this wins all battles, for the kingdom across the bar is the ruling kingdom. It is the high watcher's business to get all the world to be interested in the ruling kingdom for which its heart is truly yearning. The judge that standeth up in the universe facing us saith, as if testing us, is it well with thee? We answer, according to thy judgment, it is well with me. Therefore, it is well. We find that this bold communion accomplishes a strange victoriousness over all our undertakings. Being well with us, according to high judgment, we see that it is well with all others. Over all habitations, we see the other kingdom glowing. We hail complaining speech as divine challenge, our great opportunity. Under all feet, we are aware a finished globe rolls with wondrous offerings. Let us salute the ever-waiting answers to our prayers. Is it not declared, believe that ye have, and ye shall have? Is it not declared, thy lot or portion in life is seeking after thee? I counsel you to heed no contrary clamorings. Who is deaf to the messenger I sent, saith Jehovah Nissi. Salute no person or opposition to the judge by the way. The long-looked-for judgment day is within our gates. Let us joy in the fire of its purifying. Let us catch its brimstone truth, the mysterious and great and mighty things not yet known to this world, which the prophets all heard announced as coming in with the high watch and glad accord with the high judgment. The sacred books of all ages mention three sciences: material, mental, mystical. Material science declares laws that are sure, that as the iron sharp Material science declares laws that are sure, that the iron sharpeneth iron, and hydrogen and oxygen clashing together fall into thirst-quenching waters. The sacred books proclaim a mental science to which the world can subscribe, as all that we are is made up of our thought. Mystical science announces the miracles of predicateless being, setting the ways of matter at naught and nullifying the thoughts of mind. The flesh profiteth nothing. Take no thought. In such an hour as ye think not. Mystical science is a chalice of golden wine passed along to the children of humanity by John's angels of the apocalypse. It is the new song for the hearts of the children of the new age. And it ends BCH. So, we have one chapter left. And, frankly, it looks kind of short, so I may get off easy next week. Because, oh my goodness, Emma. So, that is chapter 11, the ministry. And it seems like chapter 11 was about reaching across the bar. But we'll see. We will see. Because I'm going to go back to what she called it in the beginning and see if I like that title the best. But that was chapter 11 in High Ministry by Emma Curtis Hopkins. And Emma is just as weird as she ever was. But she spent a lot of time reminding us that our good is seeking us. And so if you walk away with anything from chapter 11, remember that. Your good is seeking you. Nobody can take it away from you. You can't take it away from anybody else because your good is only coming from one place. And she does say that it is coming from when the invisible clashes with the invisible, it becomes visible. So, and she talked a lot about that secret believing. I may use that one. It's the ministry of the secret believing. So, if you don't like the way your life looks, go look at your unconscious beliefs. All right, beloveds. Whew, that was a lot, right? I'm going to move on to the rest of my day. I will be back tomorrow, and we will get back into, I think we're in Matthew 11 in Hidden Power of the Bible. So, see you tomorrow morning in that 9 o'clock space. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. Always.